All right, happy Tuesday, my loves. I hope that your day is going great so far. Today we are going to do a Q&A. I'm going to be answering questions in regards to spirituality, in regards to individual spiritual journeys. If there are any things that you guys want to talk about, this can be in regards to healing. This could be in regards to Hollywood. It could be in regards to whatever is going on. It doesn't matter. Y'all know I go with the flow. And yeah, that's the gist of it. So if you do have any questions, if there are any things that you want to ask me or want my opinion on, or you want me to give my 2 cents, feel free to type them in the comments and we can just, go on from there. All right. First question is, what's your take on heterosexual relationships? Like, what do you mean? Like, do I think that we should be heterosexual or not? What exactly are you asking me? So I can answer it properly. Yes, if you want to request to join, you can. Okay, so my take, I believe in reproduction. So, the only way that we can reproduce is to be with the opposite sex. I personally don't care if you are heterosexual or if you believe in homosexuality. I really don't care. I've dated women. I've dated men. I prefer myself, my personal preference is to be in a heterosexual relationship. My feminine requires masculine energy, and I understand duality and balance. So that's my preference. That's, as much as I can say about that. I don't really care, honestly. But spiritually, I do believe in balance. Do you believe God is real? So my belief of God is not in the same sense. My belief in God is not a religious based belief, right? So I don't believe that God is a person. I don't believe that God is one energy, just like a masculine man or a feminine woman. I believe that God is dual energy, meaning that, the energy that we all come from is both masculine and feminine, right? I don't subscribe to thinking, again, of God in a religious sense. So I don't believe that there's a man in the clouds or above the clouds or anything like that. The overall understanding of God that I have is that God is in everything, meaning there's God in the trees, there's God in the birds, there's God in the water, there's God in the air, the clouds are God, the dirt is God, the rabbit is God, the deers are God. I believe that God is energy. At its, most basic form is energy. And we are all smaller pieces or different depictions of that whole energy that, we all share. Which is, why I left religion, because the whole God is a man thing didn't really make sense to me, especially given the fact that if God would be anything, it wouldn't be a man. If we're talking about creation, the only thing that is able to birth is feminine energy. So if God was a person, I don't think it would be a man. It would be a woman, in my opinion. I feel like, on a more physical sense, the closest thing we have to God is the woman, the black woman specifically, is the closest depiction of what God is to me. Because if women, possess masculine and feminine energy. They create and they give life. And yeah, they're nurturers. I mean, all the things that you would think of in regards to God, you can say the same thing about a woman. Did you see the Cam Newton and Dr. Bryant interview? I absolutely did. I think that it is important to share things like that. You know, we are in a space where, you know, we are waking back up. We are coming back into understanding of who we are as individuals, as spiritual beings. And a lot of the bullshit that they poured into our communities, specifically black communities, a lot of the mentalities that they gave our men, you know, those things are being destroyed. Even, you know, the mentalities with women. There's people holding women accountable as well, which I think should happen more. My melanated women, my black women, we have to learn how to take correction and be corrected. We can't just require everybody else to take correction and be corrected, and then when it's our turn, we making excuses. I don't think that that's okay either. I think both sides have their problems. I'm glad that, you know, Dr. Bryant is highlighting a lot of the miseducation in our community when it comes to relationship, when it comes to healing traumas, when it comes to showing up healed, because it is no one's duty to heal you or to put up with your bullshit if you are not healing or working on yourself. Especially, you know, the fact that everybody is still having babies. So it's a different thing when you're not healed and you on your own. But when you're not healed and you got kids and you continue to bring children into this world, that's a problem. So I'm glad that the conversations are being had. I think it's very important for us to, take the stigma off of healing and therapy and, working through your traumas and going over your childhood traumas and things of that nature. She also did an interview with Nick Cannon. Apparently that one was first, a while ago. And both interviews just kind of showed, both of these are men, who continue to have children with many different women. And, it's important to understand that, a lot of us come from broken homes, like she was talking about, where we didn't have a mother and a father in the home. Or, the father had multiple children in multiple different places, and those children weren't able to have their father 100%. And those responsibilities fall on the mother. And then if the mother is unhealed, then she is basically feeding that child 100% whatever she's gone through, whatever she's experienced. So the babies really take the biggest ill in all of this, which is unfortunate. So I'm glad that the conversations are being had. What's your opinion on cusp signs? In regards to cusp signs, I feel like cusp signs share both energies of whatever zodiacs they are in the middle of. So, for example, if you were born like March 21st or March 22nd or 23rd, you would have the energy of not only Aries but also Pisces. And you can be affected by both of those signs or have some types of similarities to both of those signs. Some people don't believe in cusp signs. I do, because energy, usually when we're talking about astrology, it can last, we can usually feel it 3 days before and then 3 days after. So when you're on a cusp, technically you're still taking on some of that energy. Which is why, I would study both signs. If it's like your sun sign, I would look into both signs. Whatever signs you cusp, I would look into both of those signs. Because I'm sure you'll find similarities in both. Now, it may not all resonate, but you'll definitely find some similarities. It just is what it is. Some of that energy is still lingering, even though it has technically shifted zodiac signs. Would you ever have children? Absolutely. I absolutely want children. But I'm one of those people who require marriage first. And I don't care. I'm very healthy, so I'm not worried about my eggs or none of that shit. I'll be 30 in 2 years. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not in no rush. I believe in, again, foundation. Prior to my healing, even prior to me healing and, going through my own process of, trauma healing and going over my childhood and all of those things, I still didn't really believe in having children without having a husband. And you'll get a lot of people that say, well, a husband don't mean that, you having a husband first don't mean that y'all gonna stay together. And you getting a job don't mean that you gonna keep it. You driving a car or purchasing a car don't mean you're gonna get in a car accident. You know what I'm saying? We can say that about everything. We don't know how anything is going to end, but you don't go into it with the intentions that it is going to end. That's not really what people do. Nobody is getting married and thinking about divorce or thinking about some type of, separation or untimely demise. So that's not really my concern. My concern is, having a balanced household and creating a foundation for my children. And I refuse to be a baby mama. I just really don't care about nobody's opinion on that. Can you expect a balanced child when they have been brought into an unbalanced life, not having both? No. Again, I believe in balanced energy. And the reason why you have a divine feminine, and a divine masculine is because those two energies bring something different to the table. Me as a divine feminine, I cannot give a child what a divine masculine would. That's not the energy that I possess. That's not the energy that I have. I'm a feminine, right? I'm here to nurture. I'm here to love. I'm here to care for. I'm here to spiritually guide, spiritually protect, right? That masculine is here for structure and protection and to provide and, to bring a different energy, a more stern energy. That's not what I'm here for. So because a lot of households are unbalanced, you have a lot of women having to forcefully tap into their masculine to try to make up for that difference or that lack of balance in that household. Or even single fathers, they have to forcefully tap into their feminine, or sometimes they don't, and because they can only give a masculine energy, and then that child is going without something. Now, does a two-parent household guarantee, just because it's two parents, guarantee that child is going to get everything they need? No. That's why both parties need to come in healing. Because you can't have a toxic mom, toxic dad, and just because they're both in the home, that means that the child is going to have everything that they need. No. It's still a toxic household. You know what I'm saying? So the most important thing is having two healed or healing people coming into the home to create life and provide for the children. Not just having two people,
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Michaela.
Hey, love.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so earlier, I want to say this year, I took my Shahada, which is like, following Islam. But before I did that, I used to do like a little bit of Santeria, like candle work, into tarot and stuff like that. But now that I follow the faith of Islam, I can no longer do that. And it's just like, I feel like I'm going through like a battle right now because it's like the tarot cards, like, I used to do my personal readings on myself and stuff like that, but like now I can't do it anymore because it is like a conflict. So like I just feel like I'm in a battle. Like, do you have any tips or anything that could kind of like guide me?
Well, my question would be, number one, what made you make the switch from, I'm assuming, spirituality or just spiritual practices, which is something here that's a spiritual practice, to wanting to switch to Islam?
Well, for one, since a kid, I've always had like family who was Islamic, and they always used to take me to the mass, and I always just felt like a sense of peaceness there. Like even now, I have like a 1 year old, so I don't go as often, but I always feel like a sense of peace, even like with prayer, just peace. I just feel that. So when I was pregnant and stuff, like I was going through a rough time, and I just needed to like just pray, but like I couldn't pray because when you're pregnant, you can't like pray, but like I made the switch, and I just needed like peace. I just needed to pray and stuff like that. And now it's like I'm kind of like a little bit of healed, like from like my pregnancy and stuff, like stuff that that I needed to pray. So now I'm like a little bit of healed from that, and it's like I want to get back into my tarot and stuff like that, but I'm just not too sure.
So what it sounds like to me, in my opinion, is that, and with all due respect to, what you're practicing now, but it sounds like you don't really want to practice Islam. You feel more drawn to spiritual practices. It sounds like you were just in a space and you needed something that felt more tangible. Sometimes religion feels more tangible because there are already established traditions, there's already established places to go, there's already, an established practice. And spirituality is not something that is necessarily established because it's something that you go through individually. So it's
I
more
can
of an
agree with that.
individual, right? More of an individual journey, which you're kind of just like figuring out as you go type of thing.
Right.
And sometimes that, because it is so unsure, we can get to a place where we get frustrated, or we just get to a place where we just are not understanding things, or things are taking a little bit too long for our liking. So we go back to something that feels more tangible, which is usually religion. Which is why a lot of spiritual people go back to Christianity, or they go back to practicing Islam, or whatever the case is, because that's something that feels more tangible because there's other people doing it, and then there's guidelines to follow. So you're not just, out in the open, like just trying to figure it out. What I would recommend is, number one, sitting with yourself and kind of asking yourself, like, is this something that I really feel called to do, or to continue, in regards to practicing Islam, or is it something that just feels easier because there are guidelines that are already set up for me to follow? Am I in a place where I want to take on the challenge? Because spirituality is a challenge. Again,
Yes.
because there's no set guidelines, there's no one way to do it.
Yeah.
It is a personal relationship with yourself and the world around you, the energies around you, which requires more attention. It requires more commitment. It requires more patience, which sometimes we just don't have. When you're in a particular situation, you want things to quickly make sense.
Yes.
You want to hurry up and get something tangible. You want to hurry up and try to find some type of answer. And because religion is, it comes with its own set of rules, it's easy to just pick that up and be like, okay, well, I'll just do this because it's already laid out for me, rather than going through the process of trusting your intuition, meditating on things, taking your time, being patient, and kind of waiting to see how things kind of play out.
I don't want to cut you off, but I also had like kind of like a negative experiences with my religion since I did take my shahada. Is like with family, like when I would wear my hijab, there would be certain comments, because I do have a child, and as an Islamic woman, you are supposed to be married, but you would have to date another Islamic man, and it was just little comments. And then, like some people in the community, I just didn't feel like a family. I just didn't feel like a family in a community, versus when I did do my candles, when I would go to the store, like the lady, she'd know me. She would always greet me. I would always feel a good energy. But it's like sometimes when I go into the mosque, I just kind of feel like a little nervous. Like, are they looking at me? Like, because I live in New York, and when I have my hijab on, I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like not like a weird feeling, like, because sometimes I do feel empowered, but around like certain times, I just feel like not so confident with my hijab on. Like, so I think that could be another reason why I'm kind of like, having a little bit of problems with my religion right now. Just like also like not having support as well.
I think that this is only you can answer this. This is something that you're going to have to kind of weigh out. Me personally, I left Christianity 7, 8 years ago at this point. And I grew up in Christianity. You just kind of transitioned into Islam, but I grew up in Christianity, so that was all that I knew. And when I finally made that decision to go full force with my spirituality, I felt uncomfortable as well because all of my family were Christians. I had to deal with people's opinions and rumors and all types of different things. But, the key to spirituality is self. You have to, build that relationship with yourself and find security within your relationship with yourself, because people are going to disagree with something within your life all the time. I mean, there's always going to be something that somebody thinks is wrong, or they don't think that you're doing right, or they think you should be doing more of or less of, or shouldn't be doing at all, or whatever the case is. Opinions are always going to come. People are always going to have their outlook on, what you should and shouldn't be doing. And you have to, I think the key word that you said was confidence. You have to develop that confidence within yourself, regardless of what it is that you practice. All religions, come from spirituality. It just is what it is. They're all based off of spiritual practices, but rewritten in their own way and then applied to a person that, people go and worship or praise or whatever the case is. But they're dealing with all the same energies, and it's really all the same thing. It's just a different method of getting to that thing. So, I would say figure out what method works best for you, whether that is spirituality, whether that is Islam, whether that is whatever other religion that you may get into, and understand that, as you go through life, as you continue to develop, because you sound young. How old are you?
I'm 22.
Okay, yeah. As you continue to develop and as you continue to go through life, there's going to be different perspectives that you have based on your experiences. And the more you start to experience different things, you'll have a better understanding of what works better for you. The more that you learn yourself, we call it shadow work or healing or trauma healing or whatever. But the more that you tap in with yourself, you'll get a better understanding of who you are. And based on how you understand yourself, you'll know exactly what is for you to practice. Also, your intuition never lies. So if there are certain spaces that you're going in and you are intuitively feeling like you don't belong, then I would pay attention to that. If there are certain things that you're doing and you are intuitively feeling more peace, I will pay attention to that and kind of weigh that out. Am I going to force myself to stay in a space where I'm not feeling peace? Or am I just going to go with what brings me peace and fight through whatever challenges come with that? Because no matter if you're practicing Islam or if you're practicing spirituality, there's still going to be challenges that you go through. There's still going to be things that happen. There's still going to be, stages of your development, that you are faced with that you're going to have to overcome. So, the goal is not necessarily to get to a belief system where there are no challenges or where, everything is just peaches and cream, because you're not going to find one if that's the goal. The goal is to get to a place where you feel completely free and you feel that peace that you're talking about, and you continue to pursue that with the challenges, with the ups and downs that come with that. And eventually, again, the more that you learn yourself, the more that you get to know yourself on a personal level, you'll know exactly what is for you, and then you'll be able to attack that specific thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. I
You're
really
welcome.
enjoy your content, and you have a good afternoon. I'm gonna continue to watch.
You too, babe.
I'm hot. I don't know how to leave.
I got you. Okay. If you want to come up and ask a question, feel free. You can send a request, or you can ask your question in the comments and I'll answer it. For those who are just joining, we're just doing a Q&A in regards to spirituality. There is no specific questions to ask. Whatever you feel like talking about, we can talk about. Okay? But yeah, I really want, to kind of piggyback off of that conversation. A lot of people, like I told y'all, are in a space where they are starting to question certain things, certain belief systems, and thinking about converting or thinking about taking on the challenge of spirituality, because it is a challenge. Like I said, there are no rules to your spiritual journey, which is why a lot of people feel uncomfortable with this journey, because you are basically figuring it out as you go along. There are certain things that we can read. There's certain advice that we can take. There's lectures and stuff that we can watch about, certain things. But the personal part of this journey is something that you have to figure out for yourself. And a lot of people are not used, well, I'm saying a lot of us, period, are not used to doing that, especially if you come from a religious background. You're not used to having to think for yourself and to order your own steps and to create your own reality. You're kind of following the guidelines of what was given to you, what was presented to you, and you're just going with that. So spirituality, unfortunately, has the whole idea of spirituality has gone through its own difficulties lately. It has gotten very, very popular, especially during COVID. And, that's when a lot of people came and wanted to be in spirituality. They started researching for themselves, learning for themselves, things of that nature. Some people were spiritual prior to, maybe not as deep into it. And somewhere in between that point, it kind of moved from a practice to more of an aesthetic. And because of the aesthetic that has been placed on spirituality, a lot of people are very confused. A lot of people came into it with the wrong ideas or with the wrong information or knowledge, or just, came into spirituality and didn't realize that it wasn't what they thought it was. And then they're like, okay, this is a little bit too much, or, I can't really figure this out, or I don't really feel comfortable, making all of these decisions for myself or whatever. And then you had a lot of people going back to religion and then bad mouthing spirituality. So, this journey is not easy because it requires you to face yourself, and nobody can really walk you through that, because only you know yourself. Only you know what lies beneath the surface. Only you know, what is in the depths of your energy, what you have experienced, what you think about, what where you want to go, what your goals are, all of those things, your traumas, your triggers. Only you know all of that information, which is why this journey is really about you versus you. And nobody can really write a book, or nobody can really give you verbatim steps to take, in order to figure that out. We can give you exercises that may help, probe some of that energy out of you or get you some of those answers. We can give you books that'll help you gain the right perspective so that you can dig within yourself and get those answers. You can watch a lecture, you can watch me, you can watch, other spiritual creators and, other spiritualists and healers and shamans and all of the things, and, gain inspiration or, again, get maybe some advice of how to approach the situation or whatever the case is. But nobody can do the work for you. There is no step by step guide, for you to tap into the things that are meant for you to tap into. So this journey is not always as fun as it's made to be, because there is a lot of work that comes with it, and a lot of people are just not willing to do that work. So, I always tell people, until you're ready to face yourself and be consistent and go through the motions of this journey, stay where you at. Don't play around with it. Don't try to dibble and dabble into things, that are, that you may find aesthetically pleasing. Just stay away from it until you're really ready to do the actual work. Yes, if you want to schedule a one-on-one, my website is in my bio, love. What do you think about someone isolating themselves to get better on their journey? Isolation is a requirement on this journey. At some point on this journey, you will have to isolate. Isolation and spirituality go together hand in hand, because again, this journey is about you and you. So a lot of the things that we have to work on, a lot of the things that we have to figure out, a lot of the things that we have to come into understanding of in regards to ourselves has to be done on a one-on-one basis with ourselves. And not only that, when you start to heal, you also start to see that a lot of the relationships or connections that you do have in your life should have never been there in the first place. So this is why in the beginning stages of like shadow work, trauma healing, childhood healing, things of that nature, you find yourself getting more distant from the people that used to be in your space. You find yourself not relating anymore to the people that you're used to being around, or you just start to see the truth of, whatever that relationship was, and you start to realize that it never served you anyway. So, a lot of people don't like that either. A lot of us have become codependent on people's energy. A lot of us have abandonment issues. A lot of us have, maternal and paternal issues. A lot of us have gone through certain traumas where we just hold on to people or we gravitate to certain people. And as you start to heal, you start to realize that a lot of those relationships never served you. A lot of those relationships were trauma bonds. Maybe you connected with those people simply because of the fact that you shared a trauma or you shared a similar experience, or that you are on the same energetic wavelength, the same frequency. You're going to match up with whatever frequency you're on. So if you're on frequency number 9, you're going to attract people who are also on frequency number 9. But when you start to elevate yourself, when you start to, elevate your frequency and raise your vibration, then you're no longer going to attract those people who are on level number 9 now that you're on level 13. And a lot of times that's not an easy thing, because maybe it's people that we love on level 9. Maybe it's our mamas or our daddies or our sister, brother, cousin, family members, co-workers, friends, loved ones, spouses, for some people, children. You know what I'm saying? And distancing yourself or acknowledging the obvious distance can be difficult. So, sometimes people start their healing process and then they realize that the more that they heal, the more they get separated from the people that they love or like or whatever. And then they start going backwards because that makes them uncomfortable. Or, because they see the value in this person and, they just are not in a place where they're ready to accept that maybe that person's not for them. Sometimes they just abort their journey instead of just allowing that relationship to dwindle away the way that it needs to. So, I mean, it's difficult. And that's why I always tell y'all spirituality is not easy. I really hate the stigma of thinking that you could just blow some cinnamon around and you know, do all of these little spells and then everything's going to be good. Like, that's not how this works. That's not how it goes. You know, nobody is going to, you know, change their life and heal through a spell. It's not gonna happen. You have to physically do the work. You have to consciously do the work and show up. Even when you don't feel like it, even when it's causing you or forcing you to do something that's uncomfortable, doesn't matter. You have to stay consistent with the journey in order to get the results. And consistency can be the hardest part because, again, you start doing the work and you realize, damn, I gotta let go of all of these people, or I no longer relate to these people, or I can no longer, you know, heal and drag these people along with me. Something gotta give. Either I'm just gonna choose them or I'm gonna choose me. And that's really the choice that it comes down to. You can hear life is an illusion, but you still have to see that shit for yourself. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I really dislike, you know, is there's so many people who claim to be educated on certain spiritual things and then they get out here and they say stuff. And because social media is the way that it is, if you say something good enough with enough conviction, people will believe that you know what you're talking about. And that's just the unfortunate part of it, right? So we understand that we are living in a matrix, right? We understand that we are living in to some degree, an illusion of reality. We understand that there are people that are controlling what we see, how we feel, on a spiritual level, whether that is through frequency, whether that is through sacred geometry, whether that is through portals or the food or the air or the water or whatever they use to keep us in this space, right? But then you had people who started to understand or started to study the 5D and the 4D and all of those different things. And it was at one point where there was some people going around saying, you know, we've shifted to the 5D and we're no longer in the third dimension anymore, and blah, 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 blah. Ignore everything that you see. It doesn't affect us. Don't pay attention to politics. Don't pay attention to this. Don't pay attention to that. Just ignore it. Don't participate. Blah, 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 blah. And to a certain extent, we understand that they create distractions, right? We understand that there are, people who understand the spiritual realm and were taught, a lot about the spiritual realm, and they use it to control us energetically and things of that nature. But we also have to live in reality to a certain extent, right? So you don't have to believe in politics, but you damn sure need to be paying attention to them. Because if the rest of the world is moving or operating off of something, and then you're over here like that doesn't exist, at some point those two things are going to intertwine. If they pass a law right now that says, for clear example, COVID, right? When COVID happened, we all knew, those who were awake, we all knew what that really was, right? We understood the meaning of that. We understood, the goal of getting people to, get that. We understood all of that. But everybody also still stayed their ass in the house. When they said quarantine, you could say this shit is an illusion all you want. But if you leave the goddamn house and the police is sitting outside, they're going to politely ask your ass to go back in the motherfucking house. At some point, again, duality. You can have a spiritual understanding of what's going on, but you have to partner that with the physical realities of this realm, because until we leave here, we are subjected to the rules and regulations of this realm. no matter how you feel about it, unless you are going to, go live. Even if you go and you live in the middle of nowhere and you got land and you got a garden and all these things, if they choose to pollute the sky, you still have to breathe that in, no matter how high vibrational you are. You know what I'm saying? If they choose to, do something with the soil or the ground, it doesn't matter if you're growing all of your food. It's still going through that process. It's still going to be affected by whatever they're doing. So we have to balance out reality with spirituality just because of the fact that we are here. Now, in the spiritual realm is the spiritual realm. It don't have nothing to do with this physical reality, and we understand that, right? But as long as we are here and our soul is within a physical vessel, we have to acknowledge what is physically going on. So you need to be paying attention to politics, not because you believe in it, but so that you can have the insight of how to carry yourself, what to do, what to look out for, how to protect yourself. Period. You need to know and understand the actual laws and how they apply to you, so that not because you believe in it and you believe that everybody can control you and tell you what to do, but so that you can protect yourself when it comes to the physicalities of this realm. Right? So it's all about balance. And a lot of people go through what we call spiritual psychosis, which is when you get way too deep into certain things and you forget to balance things out, and you get way too deep into it to the point where you start to experience psychosis. You start to go crazy a little bit, right? And those are people who have not balanced their reality out with their spirituality. So it's all about balance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe in politics at all. I understand that there's a 1% that rules the entire world. I understand that voting has no purpose. I understand all of these things. However, I also have to pay attention to what is going on. I also have to pay attention to the people who are running in this particular, side of politics, so that I can see what I can expect in the world around me. I don't have to believe it. I don't have to be involved. I don't have to go out and cast my vote. I don't have to do none of that. But I do need to be knowing what y'all talking about, and what laws y'all talking about putting in place, and what types of things y'all talking about doing, so that I can know what to do with myself. Okay? Do you think meat is healthy for the body? It depends on who you are. Meat is not healthy for the body of melanated beings. Our bodies are not created to break down meat because we are energetic beings. So we get our nutrients, and our body is created to break down fruits and vegetables and certain grains. Meat produces a lot of mucus in the body for melanated beings, and we don't have the stomach acid to break down meat. We never have. That's why, it doesn't really work for our body. Now, because we have been in this realm for so long, and because we have eaten meat for so long, our bodies have tried to adjust to it, which is why, we can eat it, but our body still is not going to fully be able to break it down, which is why Black people, melanated beings, have a lot of health issues when they are eating or consuming a lot of meat. It just is what it is. Now, if you are a Caucasian or a Mongolian, then you have a different system. You have a different gut. You have a different genetic structure. So you may be able to consume those specific types of things. But if you are a melanated being, meaning you have neuromelanin, it's not just about the color of your skin, it's about being neuromelanated. If you have neuromelanin, then your body was not created to break it down. So you're going to struggle with that. This is why, our community has a lot of gut health issues, high blood pressure, hypertension, you name it, diabetes, We have so many different issues, because of it. And not even just meat, processed sugar. Things being overly salted or salty. All of those things have an effect on our body. There's a book that I gave y'all. I think it's We Are Not the Same is the name of the book. And it gives you, for my melanated beings, it gives you a breakdown of your body and why we can't consume the same things that we see other people consume. Let me see. I want to make sure that's the title. Yeah. We Are Not the Same is what it's called. It looks like this. All right. And it is on Amazon. And it talks about, the melanin in our body again. Because one thing about it, neuromelanated beings, we have melanin from conception. So in the womb, you have melanin. It's a part of your brain. It's a part of your whole entire system. We don't get melanin just when we pop out and then our skin, the melanin in our skin darkens up. No, ma'am. No, sir. You have melanin from the time of conception. So, knowing that you are melanated is very important because you'll know how to carry yourself. When you know who you are, you'll know what to do with yourself. And that's not just food, that's everything. That's the way that you do everything. How do you know if you're neuromelanated? If you have a melanated mother and a melanated father. Now, if you are mixed, if you have a melanated mother, then you're definitely neuromelanated. If you only have a melanated father, you take on the majority of your genetics come from your mother. That's just genealogy. Most of the bulk of your genetics come from the mom because your mother was born with her eggs. Women are born with their eggs. We don't have to wait until a certain age, like men, for our sperm to develop or things of that nature. We're born with all the eggs we ever gonna have. We have them while we're in our mother's womb. If you're a woman. So it just depends on how your genetics played out, honestly. But if you have a Caucasian mom, you are majority of whatever your mother is. That's just how that goes. So what I would say for that is the next thing I would check, if I have a Caucasian mom and a black dad, I would go based on my blood type. Blood type O or O positive is definitely, melanated blood for the most part. All of the other variations, I would just, use that. There's certain things that you need to eat based on your blood type, certain things that you don't need to eat based on your blood type. So yeah, I would go with that. Any other questions? For those just joining, we're just talking about a lot of different things in regards to spirituality. Feel free to drop a question in the comments. If you want to come up and ask your question, then you can send a live request or guest request. Yeah, blood types are really a telltale sign. They say, O blood is the original blood, and everything else is, a combination of the different genetics coming together. So I would just check that. What do you suggest for face wash or scrubs? In regards to like facial wash, I personally wash my face with African black soap. Now, everybody doesn't have the same skin, so you really have to base it on your skin. Some of you guys have more sensitive skin. If you have more sensitive skin, I would look into like oatmeal washes. They have like oatmeal oatmeal milk soap. Something like that will be probably better for you because it's more sensitive, and you can use oatmeal products on babies as well. As far as facial scrubs, you can always get some granulated sugar, preferably brown sugar, because white sugar is bleached sugar, and bleached anything is not good for us. Bleached sugar, bleached salt, all of that's not really good for our bodies. So I would say brown sugar preferably. You can mix it with some honey. You can put some turmeric in it, squeeze you a lemon in there, and get it to a nice consistency. And you can use that as a facial scrub. That shouldn't be too harsh for your face. I get my African black soap from a wholesaler, and I sell it on my website. So if you can't find it yourself, you can go on my website and purchase it. If not, you can always go on like Amazon or find like a natural, like a herbal shop or something like that. They should always have it. Or Etsy. Etsy has some good sellers on there too. Yeah, oatmeal is great, especially for the skin and skin issues. Oatmeal is great for like eczema or psoriasis or acne, or like any of those types of ailments as far as the skin. Like oatmeal is so good for that. Breakouts, redness, any type of like sensitive skin or skin issues, like oatmeal is great. You can bathe with oatmeal as well. And like if you have skin issues on your body, you can bathe with oatmeal. You can also make your own soap. I would just get like an organic soap base. There's a lot of different ones out there. I would just do some research again and figure out, which one kind of fits for you. And you can add, you can make oat milk. Oat milk is literally just oats blended with water, and that's oat milk. They do the same thing with nuts. Almonds, you just blend it with water, make almond milk. Cashews blended with water, make cashew milk. Like that's all that it really is. You can do coconut as well. Coconut is great for the skin. It's amazing for the skin as well. So you can use coconut milk and put some honey in there. Get you some oats and collect the water from the oats. Maybe soak it and then collect the water from the oats and put that in there as well. And make you some soap, homemade soap, and wash your butt. Wash your face. Do you believe any diseases can be cured? All diseases can be cured. All diseases can be cured. There is no disease that cannot be cured. All diseases can be cured. Now, they don't want you to cure diseases because they make money off of you being sick. So they don't want to cure, they want to prolong. Especially like, the bigger ones, liver issues, pancreatic issues, cancers, things of that nature. They want you to keep that, so everything can be cured. There's a herb literally for everything. Literally. And it's usually tied to your eating habits. All diseases are usually linked to your eating habits. So yeah. How can I cure my depression? I'm tired of So if you are depressed, number one, I would recommend ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is great for depression because it will help you balance out your hormones and get to a place of mental clarity. Also, you need to start journaling. Usually depression comes from unaddressed issues that turn into worry. So getting those things out, getting those thoughts out in some type of way So either I recommend journaling regardless, but if you don't want to journal, talking to yourself helps. May feel crazy, but fuck it. I mean, half of us crazy anyway. Talking to yourself, or recording yourself, whether it's voice recording or video recording, but finding a method to get your feelings out. A lot of people who suffer with depression, they don't speak on what they really feel. You know, a lot of people keep things to themselves. You know, even when they're by themselves, sometimes they still don't really speak on how they feel or show their true feelings. So definitely that. And then also, you're going to have to push yourself. You're going to have to push yourself. You're going to have to make yourself do things. You know, remembering that you are in control of this vessel and this vessel is not in control of you is very important. You know, sometimes we can feel trapped within ourselves or trapped in life or whatever the case is. But to remember that at any point you can change your life is very important. You can get up any day that you want to and say, I'm tired of all of this shit. I want to redo everything. I'm about to start taking direction, you know, taking a new direction and going for whatever it is that I want to go for. Like, you know, I'm going to get up and clean. Maybe if I'm just, you know, and then pacing yourself too. So like, let's say, you know, when I suffer with depression, my house would look a mess. It would be dishes all in the sink, you know, to-go boxes and food and shit all over the place and clothes all over the place. And I wouldn't want to shower. When I was deep in my depression, I didn't even feel like getting up and washing my ass. Like, it gets that bad for some people. So, you know, starting with one thing at a time. Like, if today all I do is get up and wash my butt, it's a good day. You know, if today and then the next day, maybe I'll just straighten out my dresser and start with that. Cool. And then the next day, maybe I'll pick the clothes up off the floor. And then maybe the next day, because now things are starting to look a little bit better, I'll have the energy to go ahead and clean my entire room. And then now that I have my entire room clean, that's going to shift the energy in my home, which is going to give me more energy to do more. So don't just, you know, don't force yourself to try to do all of these things, is what I had to learn. You know, a lot of people battling depression or anxiety or whatever the case is, you're trying to force yourself to do 30,000 things. And because you don't have the energy to do it, you make yourself feel worse that you can't do it. And then now you're in a deeper depression and then more shit doesn't get done. So one step at a time. One step at a time, one thing at a time. And then remembering to decompress every day. We go through a lot of stuff on a daily basis. We experience a lot of different energies on a daily basis. We deal with a lot of different things on a daily basis. You know, we pick up different energies. We are around different people. We're going through different things. There's always something, always something, always something. So every day you need to have some type of routine where you are decompressing from that day. You are releasing what no longer serves you and then showing gratitude for the good things that you experience in that day. Even if it's simple good things. Like today, I got up and I washed the dishes. I'm so proud of myself. You go, girl. You know what I'm saying? Even if the rest of the day was shitty and people got on your nerves or whatever. Oh well. I'm going to celebrate the moments. There's, you know, you have to get used to celebrating the small things. And the more you do that, you know, you're kind of building up this confidence, you're building up your energy, you're building up this high vibrational frequency within yourself that will then help you get more things done, help you attack more things. So it's a process and it takes time. You know, I suffered with depression. You know, it would always come in increments for me based on where, you know, what was going on in my life, right? So the first time I experienced depression, I was probably in elementary school. And then things got a little bit better. And then I went through depression again, like in middle school. The things got a little bit better. And then, you know, I went through depression again in high school. And then things got a little bit better. And then I went through it again in like, at maybe I want to say like 19. And then things got a little bit better, and then I went through it again at like 22, 23. And then things got a little bit better, and then I went through it again at maybe like 25, 26. And then things got better, and then, you know, it's like a wave, and it's based on your life experiences. It's based on, you know, what you're going through. And if you don't have the tools to help you work through those situations, it's easy to slip into a depression. Also, the expectations you have for yourself are linked to your depression as well. A lot of times I was depressed because I felt like I was supposed to have more or be further in my life, or because I was comparing myself to other people who were either around me or of the same age group, or you know, things based on social media or things based on society. So I had to get focused on myself. Like, I had to just be all out focused on myself and nobody else. You know, just is my world. And if I make it to this age and I don't have certain things, then I just make it to that age and I don't have it. It doesn't mean that anything is wrong with me. It just means that I'm going according to the flow of my own journey. So, you know, that's another thing. Cancel the expectations. Don't put these crazy, absurd expectations on yourself, especially if you were never taught these things that you need. And a lot of us were not taught the things that we need or needed in order to sustain ourselves in this life or to get through the problems that we face. So you got to be kind to yourself. You got to show yourself compassion and understanding, and know that, you know, if nobody taught me, then how can I be mad that I don't know? All I can do is accept the fact that I don't know and then start doing the work to learn. Society makes you believe you have to live this certainly or the certain type of life, and you don't. Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of it is on purpose, right? A lot of it is on purpose, and you know, it's based on, even with like the school system, the education system, you know, there was no such thing as you got to go to elementary school, you got to go to middle school, you got to go to high school in the 1800s. That didn't exist. Schools exist, right? There have always been schools. There were schools in ancient Kemet. You know, there were schools in the foundational natives of America had schools. The foundational natives of different parts of the world had schools, but there was no requirement for you to, you know, learn certain things or be at a certain level. And those people were, in my opinion, a lot smarter and a lot more prepared than we are at this point with the whole education system. So when you learn, that's why I say, you know, we can't ignore the reality of history and the reality of, you know, the political side of things, because all of that was on purpose. You know, they created the education system to indoctrinate, not because they wanted to educate your babies. They don't give a damn about your babies, and we know that shit. They don't care about your kids, right? It is to create workers. The education system is, we're going to teach you what we want you to know. Okay? We're going to tell you what we want you to know, and we're going to keep all of this other shit away from you by only giving you this, right? And we're also going to teach you how to be more available for us to misuse you, how to be the perfect slave in you know, more obvious terms. It was never to help you excel. It was never to give you real information and knowledge. It was never for any of that. It was to help you become a slave to their system so that they can make money and they can keep you, you know, under control, which is why they hate that information is now at your fingertips, which is also why you have to take advantage of it. You know, I employ all people to homeschool. Stop sending your kids to these systems. If you want your child to learn what's really going on and learn the true history of things and really get what they need, you can homeschool your children. And this goes back to why the family dynamic is so important, because the mother should be able to do these things for their child and not have to worry about going to work and providing. That's something that the father should be worried about, is providing and making sure that things are right in the household so that the mother can give the children the things that they need, the education that they need to go out into the world and be successful. So if you notice, they started to purposely destroy the family dynamic, especially for the melanated community. They never wanted us to be in a position where we can have our mothers at home, because they knew that the mothers would give us what we needed, and then we wouldn't be a part of their system. So they had to take the fathers out of the home so that the mothers were forced into working and not being available for the children so that they can teach the children. Right? So that that kind of goes back to my belief in duality in the home, making sure that there is duality, because I want to be able to teach my children. I will be teaching my children. There is no way that I'm going to bring children to this world and then send them to school. But most people have to do that because that's their only option. They got to go work. So they can't sit at home and give their babies what they need. Mothers would love to do that, but they don't have that option. Even now in this economy, having a father in the home is still not even enough. Unless the father's working 2 and 3 jobs to try to provide, they still need the help of the mother to bring in some type of income. So the stress that they put on the parents, then basically falls on the child, because now you are almost forced to send your child to an indoctrination system. Like, you don't even really have a choice. So school really damages your soul for years with false knowledge, for years, and it won't help you in life. Absolutely. I mean, most of the things that was required for us to know in order for us to graduate, we don't even use at this point in life. Like, I never need the Pythagoras. I don't even know how to fucking say it. I don't even need it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are certain things that we don't even use. But if we failed, we would have to stay back and then, repeat a grade, or like for things that you don't even use. As long as your child knows how to read, write, and count, everything else the world is going to teach you anyway through experience. And especially, for melanated beings, when it comes to our history, they've erased our history, and even the way that they teach it is incorrect. It is definitely my belief that we were not the ones, especially for those of us who are Black Americans, we wasn't the ones that came over on boats. That's why all of the depictions of slavery are drawings. There's no actual photos of us on boats. But if you go look up Europeans coming to America on boats, you're going to find pictures of that. Actual pictures. They won't show us that, right? They won't show us that the melanated indigenous people that were here look just like me and you. They don't want to show that. They want to keep that secret. They don't want nobody to know, which is why they changed our name, or the way that they group us, the names that they call us in order to group us. They've changed it over the years. At first we were natives, and then we were Negroes, and then we was Black, and then we was African American. And it's all the same people. The people never changed, but the names changed. So, and then they basically weaponized it and try to convince us, or convince other people, the $5 Indians, which are the people who paid to be labeled Native Americans or indigenous beings. They gave them all of our land and gave them reparations that was actually owed to us, which is Black Americans, Black indigenous people, which are the Native Americans. And then they have those people, coming for the people who are waking up and saying, hey, we know who we are. You know what I'm saying? And then they arguing back and forth with us. Y'all not Native Americans. Y'all trying to take somebody else's identity. Right? How am I going to take your identity? That doesn't even make sense. That makes no sense. There was a lot of people here. There were millions of melanated people here in North America, in South America, in Mexico. Millions. You can't convince me all of those people passed away, and you can't convince me all of those people were slaves. That doesn't even make sense. We were outnumbering all of them by millions. So that does not make sense. Where do all of those people go? They're here. They're still here. They've been here the whole time. We never went anywhere. We are indigenous. You can go read Christopher Columbus, his journal entries. He said that the people were copper. Well, what color am I? Have y'all looked at y'all grandparents? Have you looked at yourself in the mirror? There's a reason why we don't look like people who have African ancestry. You can spot a Black American versus indigenous African person. We look completely different. We have completely different genetics and features. It's very obvious who is who. I don't care how dark they are, because it has nothing to do with how dark you are. It doesn't matter. We still look like Black Americans. We know our people versus people who are indigenous to Africa, because we're not the same people. We were already here for hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions of years. And we have pyramids here in North America that predate the pyramids in Africa. So did we all really come from Africa? Or were we all over the place? Because you have indigenous people in Australia. You have indigenous Asians. You have indigenous Europeans. You have indigenous South Americans. Indigenous Mexicans. Indigenous, what we would call Canadians. So everywhere you go, there were melanated indigenous people there. And they all look completely different than their melanated brothers and sisters in other locations. It's just nothing you can do with that. So again, we got to start, looking deeper into things and asking some questions. And that's why they wanted us to go through the school system, so that they can tell us what version they want us to believe. That's why it's called his story, because it's his story. It's not ours. That's not our story. We know our story. Our grandmamas told us who we was and been telling us who we was forever. That's why we've been walking around since we was little, saying, "Oh, I'm Cherokee. Oh, I'm Chickasaw. Oh, I'm Yamasee. Oh, I'm Seminole. Oh, I'm Creek." We knew who we was. Our grandmamas been telling us who we was. If an Italian comes over here and say, "I'm Italian," or they say my grandmother is Italian and my two parents are Italian, what would we call them? Italian. So why when our grandmama say we Native American, do we say no, we Black, or no, we're African American? No, we whatever grandma is, because grandma had us. We wouldn't be here without grandma. That's genealogy. You can't ignore that. It just don't work like that. We are whatever our grandparents are. So if you got two Black American parents, and they got two Black American parents, and they got two Black American parents, and they got two Black American parents, we can do this shit forever. Right? Grandmama said, great grandmama said who we was. And because, again, our history was stolen, because they didn't keep or give us our paperwork, they altered some of the census, or they changed, again, the way that they categorize us. So they start using the word Negro and Black and things of that nature. It's a spell that they're putting on you to make you think that you are something, but really you're indigenous to this world. That's why we don't feel the sense. We know that we're home. I haven't met too many Black Americans that want to go live somewhere else, because we have an instinctual understanding that we are in the same place our ancestors were. We understand that. We're not trying to go move to relocate to Africa and go back to the motherland. Like, no. And people get offended because they have been convinced that, everything comes from Africa. Everything started in Africa, blah, 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 blah. And then they come over here and we rule this territory. You know what I'm saying? This is the territory that we come from. We established and created everything. We invented most of everything that they see. We built up this whole motherfucker. We rebuilt America after they destroyed it when they came over here. We were the ones who rebuilt it. We are responsible for everything over here. We are the centers of the economy. Whatever we say, pop. Whatever we do, pop. It just is what it is. We didn't ask for this life, but it just is what it is. We went through them trying to take our land. We fought for it. You can look into the Yamasee Wars and the Seminole Wars when I say whooping ass and taking names, And these people realized that they couldn't beat us. We were too strong. Our men were way too strong, right? We had a sense of spirituality. Hoodoo is what we practice, which is the understanding of the spiritual realm and herbs. That's why your grandmama always had an herbal remedy for something. She knew just what to do to help you be healed, to help you get over that sickness, or whatever the case is, because we practice hoodoo. It's in our blood. That's why sometimes you just know, Black people, we don't measure. We just season. We just throw shit together, and it works. We got the best food, some of the best food in all of this world. We literally created our own culture after they destroyed our, who we naturally were, and, did everything they could do to try to make us forget who we actually was. We rebuilt it. And they realized that they couldn't win. So they started to do, it started to become mental slavery. And that's when we get into religion. They gave us Jesus as a distraction, because they knew if we got back to being in our spiritual essence, listen, they can't do nothing with us. They couldn't do shit with us. Our great grandmas was speaking them spells and throwing them herbs and talking to them spirits and walking with the ancestors, their ancestors. They couldn't touch us. So they had to indoctrinate us. That was the only way they could win. They couldn't physically defeat us. They couldn't spiritually defeat us. So they had to convince us, and give us religion. And you start with it being forced on certain people, right? And some of us were captive through the wars. That's really where they get the whole slavery thing. We were slaves of war. We didn't all come on no goddamn boat. We were slaves of war. We was whooping their ass. And some of us got taken. And they used the ones who got taken to start to do whatever they wanted to do. Taking their land. It's like when you go to, any other war, any other type of war, you go to a place and you conquer the people and you take their land. And then they start giving them people who they conquered, they gave them religion. They forced the religion onto them. And then you look down the line You know, that's why religion, Christianity specifically for black people, is really a mixture of hoodoo and then what they gave us. That's why a lot of things, you know, we do differently than other Christians. Black church ain't like going to a Catholic church. It's completely different because we put hoodoo into the religion and mixed it so that those people could survive, because it was being forced on them. You either did it or they unallowed you. So in order for us to survive and try to keep some of our essence of who we naturally were, they would put doses of it and mix it with the religion. So this is why, you know, we use the book of Psalms or we use the book of Proverbs in our spell work, because that's what we come from. That's what we was doing. Right? So yeah, I mean that whole piece of stuff, I personally always knew, like, that African American thing. Even when I was in elementary school, I did not like that. Like, I'm Native American. I don't know what y'all talking about. My grandma said that we Native American. She said her mom was Native American, and if her mama Native American and she had my daddy, you know what I'm saying, then that would make my daddy Native American. And then on my other side, if her mama was Native American and then she had my mama, and then my mama had me, then that would make me full blood. It just is what it is. We can, you know, run and trace our genealogy back years. I did it myself and got to like the 1700s. And them motherfuckers was in Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. I did my genealogy. My people are Yamasee Creek. So they're Yamasee, and then they're Creek Seminoles. From some of them from Florida, some of them from Georgia, some of them from South Carolina. I got my tribal ID. Okay? Y'all know I don't play with these people. I'm going to go get my paperwork. I'm going to go get my legal documentation. That's why I said in the beginning, we got to learn how to straddle the fence. You know who you are, but you also need to get that paperwork on the, you know, spiritually, you know who you are. But you also need to get that documentation so that you can start doing what you need to do here within the realm of things that they gave us. And start getting your freedom within that system. Getting out of that system by doing the paperwork and learning the laws and all of those things. Because what y'all don't understand is the Constitution, some of the main foundational laws, our ancestors wrote that. The black natives that was here, they wrote that. These major cities in these states were black cities. Our people did all of that. You go and you see these government buildings, some of them have been there for hundreds of thousands of years. They just paint over it, redo it. They've had mud floods. Go look at mud floods and see what that is. Go look at mud floods and how they look in inner cities. That's why they turned the cities into the ghettos, because those were our cities. It just is what it is. But they try to confuse everybody by creating the United States of America, which is a private corporation. It's a business. It's just like any other business. So you have to learn the terminology, which is legalese. Legalese is the terminology used when dealing with law. So even when you go into court and you say something like, I understand, it means that you're putting yourself under the jurisdiction of their law. So words mean a whole lot. Or like if you're traveling, or what they will say driving. Now, if you are to drive, if you're driving, that means that you're operating under their commercial vehicle law. which means you got to have a license, you got to have the paperwork and all of that other shit. But it is your birthright to travel in your private vehicle. But you got to know all of that. And you got to have the paperwork and the understanding and the knowledge and the laws and be able to cite them and all of those things to be able to stand your ground and speak your law to them, and they have to recognize it. All of that has to be understood. You got to know who your straw man is, which is who you are as the natural living being. When your name on your birth certificate, your name on your social, that is that's not the natural being. That's like the unalived version of you, and they're selling this. That's why they can use your birth certificate and your social to make money. They're selling that. So you got to come and say, hey, I'm a living being, and I take control of my trust, because everybody has a trust that has millions of dollars connected to it. They put millions of dollars on your head. Once you come through your mama's birth canal in that hospital, and they type up your social and they give you all that paperwork, $1 million on your head. When I say millions, I mean millions of dollars. Everything is already paid for. We don't pay for nothing. Everything is already paid for. So when you pay a bill, that bill is already taken care of. But because you are not in your natural born self, you haven't claimed to be the natural living person, they can trick you into paying more. That's why they be making so much money. You can really pay your bills off with a signature if you know who you are as the natural born person. Right? So it's a lot that we have to really understand in order to assert our rights. You know, a lot of people talk about the shit, but because they don't want to acknowledge this part of it, they're just spiritual people. Oh, we living in the 5D and I'm spiritual, and you know, I don't gotta listen to the laws and blah 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 blah. Yeah, you're gonna find your ass in jail. You're gonna get locked up because you don't want to accept the physicalities of this realm, which is the law. You gotta acknowledge it. We have natural birthrights, right? Which is to travel, which is to thrive, which is to eat and drink, which is to grow your food. We have natural birthrights, but you got to claim them, because in the system, they have you as an unalived being, and they are just selling your credentials amongst different countries all day. You are the stock market. And when you understand that, you can go and you can reclaim your stuff. There's a guy on Instagram. There's 2 pages on Instagram that I've given out before. I'll give them to y'all again because I want y'all to get this information. Y'all know I care about y'all really getting the information. You know, I'm not going to just sit here and give readings all day and talk about relationships and you going to get $1 million. Hell no. There's shit that we need to know. Period. So that we can navigate ourselves and protect ourselves and free ourselves from these systems. Because the more we free ourselves from these systems, they can't do shit about it. Again, our ancestors wrote these laws. Period. But the thing is, they wrote the laws, but they put us in a school system that never taught us the laws. So you gotta go teach yourself. All right. The first one is Brother Truth. Not brother, but brother with an A. This is how his page looks. Brother Truth. Okay. He has his own academy called I Self Law Master. You'll see it when you go to his Instagram. I got my he did my tribal information. I got my tribal ID through him. I got my international driver's license through him. I personally never went and got a driver's license because I know that it was spirit, but I've just been riding dirty my whole life. And then I started to learn stuff like this. So I went and got my international driver's license, which allows me to drive anywhere in the world that I want to, and they can't say shit to me. They can't do nothing. So I got that. And I got my travel ID. I got my genealogy papers. He traced my stuff back and aligned me with my tribe based on my grandparents and great grandparents. You know, we don't do blood tests. Blood tests are bullshit. Trace your people through the names, through the families. Okay, that's the best way to do it. Yes, you can get it. Get your free national passport as well. Which allows you to, I think you can travel anywhere, land, air, or sea with that international passport, which is great to have. They call it a black passport. Some people call it a black passport. That's the best one to get. If you don't have a passport, I would get that instead of getting the regular one. If you already have a passport, I believe that you can do the paperwork to change or switch it, or if it is about to expire, when it comes time to that expiration time, just go get the international one or the black one instead. The other page is Paths to Freedom 2022. Now I'm gonna spell this out. So it's Paths, then the number 2. Matter of fact, I'm gonna type it in the comments. I'm gonna type both of them in the comments so that y'all can see it. So Brother Truth is the first one, and the second one is Paths to. Now, she is amazing. She has videos on YouTube, but most of her content is on her Instagram, where her lives are. She did, lives and saved them and posted them on her Instagram. And when I say she is helping people pay their bills with their signature, she's helping people become debt free by understanding the law and applying the law. She's helping people get unlimited credit cards. She's helping people get food stamps, regardless of if you think you qualify or not. Everybody is eligible for food stamps, and that's one of the things that she teach. She's helping people understand how to rescind their driver's license and their birth certificates and their socials. Just so many things. The lady is amazing. Now, with this particular realm of things, you have to be patient and you have to do the research. You have to. There's no way around it. There's no quick fix. Now, Brother Truth, he has certain services that he offers that his team can do the paperwork and stuff for you, and you can just pay and they'll do all of the paperwork for you, which I think is good, because a lot of us, don't really know what we're doing. But still, you need to study it, so that even though you had a paperwork, you still need to understand all of the things as well. But yeah, it's a lot of people who are out here, teaching the right way of doing things, so that we are able to get free from this system, so you can get to a place where you are not under their jurisdiction, and you can live your life in accordance to how you want to live your life. Now, of course, there's certain things that we still won't be able to control. We still won't be able to control the air and the water and a lot of the food. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things that we still won't have any control over. But at least you'll have control over your vessel and your family. So if they ever want to say, hey, we're going back into quarantine, you could say, oh, okay, well, that don't got shit to do with me. You can't force me to stay in the house. You can't force me to not be outside in nature. You can't force me to wear no mask. You can't force me to do none of this shit. You know what I'm saying? There's just certain freedoms that we have that we lose because we don't know that we have them and we don't enforce them. So get the Black Laws Dictionary. That is, you can find that PDF, anywhere. The actual Black Laws Dictionary, I don't know if it's on Amazon or not, but I know for sure that the PDF is online You can just type in Black Laws Dictionary PDF and it's going to pop up. You can download it to your phone. Start getting aware of the terminology. That's why I tell y'all, etymology is also a huge part of your spiritual journey. You need to know what these words mean. That's why we changed it from understand to understand. Right? Because I'm not under any fucking thing. I understand. Right? Or we changed good morning to grand rising or great rising or beautiful rising or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Even down to religion. A lot of the words and terminology that people use in religion, they don't even know what they're saying. Lucifer means the bringer of light or the bearer of light. How does that equal to a man that's, negative? Right? Demons have a whole different name. When people say blessing, right? To bless means to sprinkle blood. It don't mean a good thing is coming into your life. It literally means to sprinkle blood. So it's like you need to know. That's why y'all hear me say abundance and prosperity. I rarely say blessing. If I do, it's because I slipped up and said it. I was in church for most of my life, so sometimes I do slip up and say it. But I always try to make a conscious effort to say abundance or prosperity. I'm not gonna say blessing. Just it's not certain things. I'm just not gonna say. I'm not gonna say good morning. I don't care what nobody thinks about that. Now they're trying to make it weird. Like the minute I see somebody say grand rising, I'm blocking them, and it's like, okay, that you the dummy, not me. I'm the educated one, right? So look up these words that you're using. Understand what they, understand what they mean, and of course, it's going to be a conscious effort. Like we've been speaking their language for so long. We were born into a world that speaks majority English. I mean, anywhere you go now in this world, they speak English, even though it may not even be their first language. They speak English. So the whole world is under the spell of these words, right? That's why they call them spelling words. Because the words cast spells. The words have energy. I told y'all before about the ridges on the roof of your mouth. You have those ridges not for no reason, but because when your tongue passes them or slides across it when you are speaking, it projects a certain energy. Energy. Energy, INNER, right? So everything that you speak, everything that you say has power to it. That's why I tell y'all, be careful what you say. Be careful what you think, because the mind is a physical representation of what you are creating in the spiritual realm. So all of those things are very important. Like to really start to understand it, just go to there's a website called, I think it's called etymology.com or something like that. Just type it into Google, it'll pop up, and just start putting words into it. And it don't have to be no big ass word. It can be simple things, and it will show you the transition of the words. These words have transitioned so much to become what we know them as now, but they didn't start off that way. And you need to start looking at, well, how did it start off? That's important, because that's whatever energy the word was created in, it doesn't matter how it transitions. It still has that base energy, that foundational energy in that word. So just start looking into things. It's going to take you time, right? But the goal is just to start researching and start getting the information. It's going to take a minute to understand everything. It's going to take a minute to, remember everything. And sometimes you're going to slip up. Sometimes you're going to say other words that you're used to saying, because, again, we've been saying this shit for so fucking long. But just take your time. Go through the methods of researching it and figuring it out and gaining a deeper understanding, and then, changing as you go. When you know better, you do better. That's all you can do. All right. Any final questions before I hop off of here? I'm about to go take my walk for the day. Blessing definitely says mark with blood. See? I always say y'all Google. Don't just listen to what I say. Don't just listen to what anybody says. Go and do your research. Go confirm everything. Okay? How did you go about tracing your ancestry? So I started off using Ancestry.com. Again, I don't send no blood into nothing. Okay? Because blood tests are not accurate. All blood tests do is show you groups of people that share some of the same genetic patterns as you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you came from those people or that you are of those people. It just means that there are similarities in your blood. That's all that means. So I wouldn't use that. I just went on Ancestry.com and I started typing in names. And on Ancestry, I like it because you can build like a little family tree. So you can start with yourself and then find your parents on there and then link them to your tree, and then find their parents and then link them to your tree, and then find their parents and link them to your tree. And then the good thing about Ancestry is you can find people who have linked like other family trees out there, who you may share relatives with, and then you can look through their family tree and then add to your tree based on that. So I got all the way up into my, let me go back, great grandparents. So that's like, I say like 5-6 generations deep. And I'm still, doing certain research. Some of our information has been, destroyed. Like a lot of Caucasian people who may have had our family's information, they destroyed it on purpose. So some of it you may not find, some people you may not find, but you can get a good idea. You know what I'm saying? You can get pretty far back because the census for us was created, I believe, in like the 1800s, 1700s, 1800s. So because we had that here in America, a lot of our families were able to take part in the census. So we were able to find them and you can trace them back. But if you go through the Brother Truth guide that I gave you and you do his genealogy package and you get your tribal ID and all of that, as long as you know your grandparents and their parents' name, they'll trace the rest for you, and they can at least let you know like what tribe you came from and all of that, so that you can start getting deeper into, your tribal knowledge and stuff like that. But I use Ancestry. You can also just Google the census. You can go to the census website and you can just go through that as well. I like Ancestry because they have death certificates on there. They have birth certificates. They have marriage licenses. They have, of course, the census records. Some people have pictures. Some families were fortunate enough to have pictures of their loved ones from, back then. So you may be able to find pictures on there, or like, whatever the case is. But yeah, that's how I started. I actually used that and found my father's father, because my dad, his father left when he was like 2 years old, and this was Christmas of 2019. I found him and was able to reconnect them, through just like doing some research. So you may not know what family you have out there, where they are, or whatever the case is. Brother Truth is on Instagram. So brother with the A, Truth, just type it in the Instagram and you should see his page. He has locks. I'll show y'all the page again so you know what to look for. But yeah. Get this knowledge. This is his page, Brother Truth. And then the other page is Paths to Freedom 2022. Both of these pages have been very, very helpful. I've already gotten my live birth certificate. So my next steps is to turn that in so that I can resend my birth certificate, and then my social, and claim my trust. So I can start charging things, because you can start charging things to your trust. Like you would a credit card, you can charge it to your trust. You get a routing number and a account number to your trust, and you can pay bills, you could buy cars, you could buy homes. I mean, anything that you could purchase, you can charge it to the trust. So that's my next step, is to get that done. And then whenever I complete that process, I'll give y'all as much information as I can on the steps to do so. I believe Brother Truth on his website, let me see, because I believe on his website you can get him to do it for you, if I'm not mistaken. I just want to go be sure. So if you want him to do it for you, you go on his website. The website is iselflawmaster.com. iselflawammaster. I'm gonna type it in here so y'all can see it. And then when you get to the website, you go to products and services, and then go to We Do It For You. Those are the services that they offer for you. So just looking over some of it. And it looks like some of these packages have payment plans, so that's good. You can get your bearing arms ID. You can design your family crest. You can get your tribal ID. They do estate planning. They do private vessel plates. So, you can make your car a private vehicle so that you can travel, not drive. And the plates that you have, the police know, like, they can't pull you over. You're not in their jurisdiction. They can't do nothing for you. You can get an EIN or foreign EIN. You can get your international driver's permit, or your foreign driver's license, okay, which will allow you to, not require a driver's license. You can travel freely. You can get your medical exemption ID. They have a nationality declaration package for your children. He had a credit repair package. Again, your private vessel license plate. What else? They have an Empire Action package, which includes an LLC, nonprofit, access to your private trust. What is this? Your travel government information or ID. He can also do brand names, logo, and slogan trademarks for you. Then the tribal genealogy package is what I got. Tribal genealogy declaration package, which declares you, within the tribal nation. He has a travel affairs bundle, which comes with, let's see, I'm trying to give y'all as much information as possible. And this comes with your non-U.S. citizen national driver's license, Travelers Pack course. So, of course, corporate secured party creditor identification card. You get the private vessel license plate. You also get your non-U.S. citizens national passport manual. And there's some other things that come with that. And that's only $275, and they do all of the paperwork for you. That's nothing that I like. Like, the prices make sense based on, what you're getting. Like, you're getting a lot of stuff. This Empire Action, I wanted to read this. This comes with an LLC, nonprofit organization, unincorporated religious assembly, your private trust, tribal government information, and operation agreements for every entity. So this will basically help you if you want to get an LLC, nonprofit, things of that nature. Let's see what other. Now he has courses like for the things that you will do for yourself. He has the courses for it that basically walk you through every step of the process. So he has a how to settle your court cases before trial, help you get out of them court cases using the law. What else? I'm trying to look at the ones that would make sense for a lot of people. How to travel private, or how to travel as a private national. How to get out of unlawful towings. There's a lot of shit on here. So I would definitely look at it. I mean, there's certain things, of course, you're going to have to do for yourself. But there's a lot of things on here that they offer for you. They'll do the paperwork for you, and you just have to give them the information. There's a number of different people that he works with as well. So, yeah, just check that out. And then the Paths to Freedom page, she gives, like, full step-by-step in a lot of her videos. You'll have to, what I suggest for her page is scroll all the way to the bottom of her page and then work your way up. Look through all of the comments. There's a lot of information that she drops in the comments, a lot of steps that she drops in the comments. And these people are canceling hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, and she's posting the evidence on her page. Like, that's the thing that I like. I like evidence. Like, don't just tell me some shit and then it don't work, or you ain't did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, no. Show me the proof. And there's proof all up and down her page. A lot of the lives that she does when she takes questions and stuff like that, all of that is posted on her page. She does have a YouTube, but again, there's not a lot of videos on her YouTube. The majority of the information is on her Instagram, and all of it is still up, like from when she created the Instagram. So definitely look through that. It's going to take you some time again to study everything and learn everything. Of course, some of it you're going to have to do on your own and all of that, but the whole goal is getting the knowledge and the information so that you can free yourself and your family. That's all that fucking matters. And, I'd rather sacrifice 6 months to a year studying, doing all of the work, and getting everything right so that I can live the rest of my days free than to live the rest of my days, held captive to a system just because I don't feel like taking some time out to research and do what I need to do. So, priorities. All right. Yes, this will be posted on my YouTube for those who are just joining and didn't watch it from the beginning. I don't know if it's going to be able to go live because I think I went over 2 hours. Anytime I go over 2 hours, then it'll just be posted. It won't go live. I know sometimes it'll just pop up as a live. So we'll see. It depends on how long this is. But Love and Light, if you are interested in booking any services with me, mentorships, healing consultations, readings, any of those things, you can go to my website that is in my bio. Definitely make sure you subscribe to YouTube. There's a YouTube button in my bio as well. Also, make sure that you follow my personal TikTok, my main TikTok, which is also linked in my bio. I never will inbox you, and I really don't follow people back on my pages because I don't want anybody to think that it's me. It's a lot of fake pages. They'll just follow a whole bunch of people so that you can follow them back, and they be impersonating me. So I stopped following people. I follow the people that I know. So yeah, just stay cautious. There's a lot of scammers out here, and I don't want y'all to get scammed. I'm currently, right now, there's an investigation on TikTok for a lot of these fake pages. I had to open up an investigation with TikTok so that I can get these pages taken down, because a lot of people have been using my face and scamming people, and I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's underway. Other than that, light and love. Tomorrow we'll do our mental health check-in, and go from there. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Get some exercise, get some sun, and research some of the things that we talked about today. All right.